Welcome to Zen Footsteps. My podcast is designed to invite you to explore new perspectives and challenge the way you see the world. Through engaging conversations with thought-provoking guests, we're going to delve into the idea that you can transform your thinking and inspire personal growth. From redefining success to uncovering unconventional paths to fulfillment, each episode is a step towards expanding your mind and embracing the journey of discovery. So join us as we walk alongside innovators, thinkers, and change makers who can help you see life in a whole new light. Hi guys, welcome to another amazing episode of Zen Footsteps and an amazing guest. I'm not going to talk too much about her. All I'm going to say is just the first bit because I found it intriguing when she sent it to me. So this is Natalie J. She's an author, a speaker, an intuitive consultant. Her work really tries to explore identity, intuition, reinvention, which you'll understand why that's important to her, and the stories really that shape our lives. I first came across Natalie because I was fascinated by her book, Dark Star. So, Natalie, welcome to Zen
Thank
Footsteps.
you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be on.
So, who are you?
Who am I? Well,
Who are you?
who am I? I'm essentially a person who's been through an incredible life. I started off as a ballet dancer at the Royal Ballet School, and I went into modeling, was an actress, a singer, and I'm now writing. And I've written my first book, my memoir, Dark Star, which tells all about the interesting life I've lived and how many hats one has to wear in order to get through this life. And it's essentially about me coming out on the other side of this, really. And who I am today has taken quite a bit of time for myself to find out. And I'm a person with resistance. I've reinvented myself many times, and I'm happy to be here and just tell my story, really, like it is.
It's incredible. I mean, it is an incredible story, and we probably grew up at the same time, right? I went to drama school, and then
Oh,
after
right.
where the
Okay.
drama school was a lot of ballet and stuff. I wish I'd actually gone into ballet actually because I was
Oh,
I
wow.
was built more like a ballet dancer than I did a bit of catwalk stuff. You know, I think it was Laura Ashley at the time as part of
Mm.
it, so that was quite fun. So I really resonate with that. And I used to go to a place in London as well, Smolenski's. Do you remember Smolenski's?
I've heard the name.
The Smolenski's was off on Piccadilly,
Yes.
and it was when wine bars became the thing.
Right. Which stage school did you go to?
I went to Chichester,
Okay.
so
It's a good
nothing
one. Yeah.
wasn't RADA, Lambda, or Mount View or anything else like that, but I love ballet, and, it was one of those things where I wish I had. So when I heard that you in your bio, you did that, I thought, "Wow, fascinating."
Oh, yes, it's great. Because it's nice. Not many men are sort of open to say they love ballet, are they? So, and it's such a wonderful profession, to go into. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think ballet dancers are some of the strongest. When I remember once I got some rugby players and they put them through a ballet lesson and they crumbled.
Really?
They couldn't hack it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a discipline on the mind and the body, and it has sort of set me up for life, actually,
Yeah.
discipline. So, in a way, it's a thread that runs through everything I do, I suppose, looking back.
I mean, you've got an amazing life. So let's go back to childhood. Natalie J comes into the world. Where were you born? What happened?
Well, I was born actually in a small town called Willesden, Kilburn, London. And I've always felt like my life was set before me as my mother, I think she was a frustrated dancer, and she used to play for piano classes, ballet classes. And I used to sit under the table and accompany her. And just through watching and seeing the other dancers, I picked it up and I became very good at what I did just by, observing. And I think a lot of my life and my intuition now comes from that by having observed, having been quite a sensitive child. And I'm now on my second memoir, which is actually, it's been very revealing for me to write. And it just really goes to show how much of our lives are shaped by identity and how our lives are actually shaped before us just by observing, by feeling. And I think the long story for me is I've had people project onto me so many different things. I was a model, and people telling my story for me before I was able to identify who I was. I was visible at the age of 15 in the tabloid press at one point, and it's just very nice for me now in later years to be able to tell my own story of who I am and to reclaim myself.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? I think as growing up, we have family traits, we have
Yes.
family projections, we have, especially if you're a girl, your mother, and if you're a boy, your father. We have all those projections put onto us, and somewhere within that, we can fall into the trap of becoming a mirror of what the paparazzi and everybody wants from us. And then one day we wake up, and it could be at any age, and we go, "Well, who actually am I?" And
Yes.
it's quite cathartic. Did you find that when you got to that point, not necessarily had a breakdown, but was it quite scary in the sense when you thought, "Well, if I'm not this person that everybody thinks I am, who am I?"
Yes. Well, I think for me, always had so many different identities, and I've been this to one person, that to another person. And because of the way I was brought up, um, I've never really had a chance to sort of be myself and to be who I am. So I always knew that I was going to write a book. And it's actually through writing my memoir I've discovered, well, how I've made meaning of the book. And I didn't set out to sort of do that really. I just wanted to get it out on paper. And now looking back, I think it makes me cry sometimes. And I think, gosh, did I really go through that? And did I go through this? But, I feel so blessed in life because I've come out on the other side. And, this life is not easy for anybody. And I think to persevere with what you want in life, with who you believe you are in your soul. And I've always known that there was more out there for me. And I've always been a big believer in life, if you like. So, yeah. Yeah.
So was it hard to go from the life that you had because it defined you in so many different ways? When you had to let go of Natalie, that person, and reinvent yourself, how did you make the transition from that?
Yes, I think, well, my first transition was at 21 when I went to Los Angeles. I had had enough of the modeling game. It wasn't me. I wasn't being, it just wasn't who I was and perhaps never was. And at 21, I just decided I'd had enough and I was going to move to the USA and live my life how I wanted to. So I got very lucky. I won Miss Hawaiian Tropic UK, and that was my ticket out. And I would say when you really want to do something in life and you have the determination to do it, you have to really want it. And somehow forces move for you. Um, so yeah, but I've always found that on the other side of doing the thing you want to do, there's always a greater chapter to come. So I would encourage anybody, if they want to do something, to just step forth and to do it and to believe in yourself because that's when the greatest miracles happen in your life, actually.
I think so, and I think that energy, I mean, I always look at energy as neither positive or negative, it's just
Mm.
energy, and that when people sometimes can, to sort of, I suppose, victim mentality, and they can say, "Why does this keep happening to me?" It's just a
Yeah.
question of it keeps happening because you need to learn a lesson, and you keep repeating the same things, you're gonna get the same outcome,
Yes.
basically, so within all of that, listening to your story and, doing some research on you, it must have been very tough as a woman because especially in that time, women were very objectified, really objectified. And, you know, it's thank God things are changing now. I mean, slowly, with a long way to go yet. That must have been really tough for a very young young girl, basically. I think you were 15 when you first started.
Yes, that's right. Yes, at 15, I was thrust into the public eye completely unexpectedly. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I appeared on the front page of a tabloid newspaper. saying I was going to be bearing all in 34 days. And it was just something I went along with my mother. And yeah, I mean, I would say it's had a profound effect. It's
Mm.
kind of on my life. I felt I missed out on my childhood, really. I've been living an adult life since I was quite young. And, that's had repercussions in my life as I've gone on, So in theory, I suppose I've always been in the public eye and I've always been on stage. That's where I feel comfortable. So, yeah, just a different kind of a life, really. And now I feel through my writing and through my intuition work, having lived so many lives, I'm able to help other people make meaning of their life, which is amazing work. And I
And
just
I
love doing it.
Yeah, and I also think that, again, with you especially, it's when you've lived something, there's an authenticity to it. Because you can actually sort of say, when somebody says, "Well, how do you know?" And you say, "Well, actually, I've lived it." It's a bit like if you've never experienced anything and then somebody tries to get you to understand it and you can't really understand it.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, I do believe to go through, when you go through things in life, well, you certainly come out as a more compassionate person. I've lived yeah, a life, so I do feel I'm able to see a person quite clearly. And part of the work I do now with my clients is I can mirror them back to themselves, and that helps them enormously because the answers are actually within them of what they need to do. But sometimes people just need that help a little bit more in seeing that for themselves.
I think so. They need an outside mirror to project it onto them so they can
Yeah.
project it back. And so do you find that with your clients, you get a lot of people that are from that industry, from stage and theater as well?
Not necessarily, no. Actually, my clients are therapists, believe it or not, a politician, and people from all walks of life, writers, people, doctors, all kinds of people. So people that just need, you know, to see themselves back, who are going through all kinds of problems. It could be a divorce, it could be anything, and I can help them bridge and see what it is they need to do for their next move. So
Because
yeah.
that's why I think that your story has that strength to it,
Thank you.
because I think with what you've gone through, I mean, you're very resilient. I mean, and you're incredibly resilient. I mean, if you think about even also to get your memoirs out there,
Mm.
it's I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? 15 and then you're asked to bear all, and actually now you're bearing all in a very different way
Through my choice this time,
through your choice, and
reclaiming
that's
myself back, having control at last, of something in my life. Yes.
so how did that reflect with your mother though? Because, you know parents are meant to protect us, parents are meant to look after us. I think in that time as well, very naive. I think women especially very naive. The man was in control, the woman, you know what I mean? It was very Did
Yes.
that put a strain on the relationship or
With my mother.
yeah.
It has actually a little bit. I mean, she hasn't read the book, and I don't think she wants to. I think she read the first page, which is open in the preview on Kindle or whatever on the Amazon. Um, I think she probably doesn't understand it. Doesn't understand where I'm coming from, what I went through, and different generation. Maybe they don't want to know. you know, but yeah, it has taken a lot for me to reclaim my voice back, and it's made the work I do stronger. And of course, I've got the next one coming out now, which really does join a lot more together. And we don't talk about it actually in my family. I don't think anybody's bought my book in my family. It's just something I do, and nobody's mentioned it. Funnily enough,
Oh, that's such a British thing, isn't it?
isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? There was a thing, I don't know if you remember, it was a comedy, and I think it was called No Sex, Please, We're British or something like
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
And it's very much that we don't. I mean, I have seen a change within especially male friends, for example. I mean, when I was growing up, it was very much the 80s, well, late 70s, 80s. And it was very much like if you're a man and you hug someone, it was like, "No, you don't do that, you're gay or something." And me being half French as well,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I didn't quite understand that, I mean, as a South African and French, you can imagine I've
Oh,
got
wow, okay.
what a combination, right? So I see a change, like, I see a lot of the young guys now, they hug each other.
Yeah.
Um, there's, the generation now, they don't seem to be drinking like they used to drink.
No, absolutely, yeah.
There's a big change, and there's a lot of, rights and claiming the rights, and the pendulum's almost kinda gone completely the opposite way. I still think it needs to come
Yes.
down a bit and
So
level,
do
but,
I, yes. Mm.
but I think that yeah, I mean, I kinda look at you as a bit of a role model in many respects to young women because,
Mm.
you can actually look back and go, "Well, I know you want to do this, but do you want to?"
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say nothing phases me anymore, and I do actually have my clients are women. They are younger women, and the things they come to me with is quite amazing. I'm actually astonished sometimes, and I think at the end of it, people want to be seen for who they are, and that comes through time and again with my clients. They want to be seen, they want to be valued, and they want a man that's going to stand by their side. But at the same time, we have this sort of dichotomy with they want to be the role model insofar as earning the money, and it's all gotten very mixed up, really, society now, I think, and there's a lot of things going on, traditional, roles, in men and women has completely changed, and, I'm finding a lot of my clients, they're, in their 40s, they're single or late 30s, and they're looking to have children, and it just isn't happening for them, they've been working a lot and, so things have changed a lot and, of course, are changing, so I think it's about finding you're listening to your inner intuition, finding that quiet time and really thinking about what it is you really want and who you are. And I think it's possible to find that. I think it's within you, and we all know deep down who we are. And I would encourage people to just keep reaching for their dreams. And if you've had a bad childhood, if you've had problems along the way, there is always a way back, and I think that I'm proof of that, and, I would encourage people to carry on and just carry on and go forth really.
I think it's the way you do it. I think that a lot of people I had a tough childhood, and this is not about me, it's about you, so another time we can talk about that, but what I learned was that my childhood, um, it made me who I am, and I like
Yeah.
who I am, so
Yeah.
therefore, I don't wanna betray my past in the sense
Mm.
that I like who I am. But it also made me a very good therapist because it allowed me to have an authenticity to when people come to me. A lot of my clients, especially if there's women, it's the first time they actually get to stop because I think, and I've said this on many, many podcasts
Mm.
before, which is that women wanted to go into the workplace and empower themselves,
Yeah.
rightly so. But the
Yeah.
problem is what happened was they carried on then doing all the other things that were
Yes.
1950s
Absolutely.
traditional women.
Yes. This is where it gets too much, I think, for
And
women.
it's too much. And the amount of fibromyalgia people I'm seeing now,
Yeah.
it's really on the increase. And fibromyalgia has a core base to it is trauma.
Is it? Oh, really? Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
primarily women. And I think the reason why is that women have been learned to suppress their emotions.
Yes.
And men, it's been okay to vent them. So, for example, if a man vents something and he's angry, it's okay. If a woman vents something and she's angry, it's considered not feminine,
Done.
not
Yes.
done. And
Yeah.
and I think that relationships too. I think that I always think people have this idea that a circle in a circle, perfect relationship. I actually don't. I think that's a codependent relationship.
Yeah.
I like to think of it like a crossover, a little bit there. And I
Yeah.
think anybody who's in a relationship who is not supporting your dreams to live and if my wife said to me, I want to do this and that, I say, go for it.
Yeah, oh, that's fantastic, yeah.
Just go
Well,
for it.
people
Live
have
live
to
your
be able to live
dream.
their lives, at the end of the day, we come together, but we still have our individual traits and our
Yeah.
dreams, and I think that's so important, to pursue, for
And
us
do you
all.
and how did you deal with that toxic masculinity? Because 15, your ego isn't even developed. I mean,
No.
you're not 25, the human brain sets. So how did you deal with toxicity?
Well, yes. I mean, I didn't realize it at the time, I suppose, what it was, what I was going through. But, fighting people off, in a business, an adult business, really. I was just a child dealing with adults, and very difficult. And I suppose I was unprotected, really, in that way, very. And to come through that has taken time, and hence my book. And I had a lot of therapy in Los Angeles. I will say that, which was fantastic, helped me to talk about my past and to open up, whereas before I couldn't speak. So that was it was great, as I would encourage everyone to do that. And, yeah, just, reaching one horizon to another horizon. There's always another horizon behind one. So just as I thought I'd done something, there was another thing to do, and that's life. And, it's
It is. I have a very kind of Buddhist attitude towards life, which is that we're here and we're learning, and it's a lesson. And in the middle of a lesson, you can't put your hand up and go, "Excuse me, professor, can I have all the answers?" It's yeah, I know. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? And so I think that process of being born and forgetting is important because it's we have to discover through experience. And I've quoted this before, saying, if you haven't had a breakdown by your time you're 50, don't trust anyone. It's
Yeah. Then what kind of life have you lived?
100%.
Yes.
100%. I just
Yeah.
I don't get. I think this is what happens with a lot of people. So I see this sort of striving for the car and the house and the this and the that. And I look now and I think, well, look, I've actually got more of my life behind me
Yeah.
and less of my life in front of me. And from the time I worked in hospital, nobody ever called for their bank manager or the Ferrari or whatever, anything else like that. And I think that that's what's fascinates me about your life is that you, unusually so at 15, were exposed to stuff, materialistic stuff.
Yes, everything, yes.
Everything was like
Mm.
just showered upon you. And most people would like now a lot. I mean, what would you say to a lot of the younger people now that want this influence thing? They apparently, I mean, for example, apparently I'm an influencer. Apparently, apparently I am. I don't know what that means, but it means it makes
I don't quite know what it means.
I don't quite get as I don't. Companies approach
Okay.
me and want me to sell
Yeah.
brands. Maybe I don't know.
And
But
come quick.
what would you say though to those people who are chasing that fame dream?
Gosh, I think it's, well, having, like you said, had everything showered upon me at 15, 16, I've lived it. I've been to Brunei, I've lived, the Sultan of Brunei's palace for 3 months. I mean, I have had it all, and at the end of the day, none of it matters really. It doesn't make any difference. Of course, we all need things to live, we need to get on with our lives, but I would say that these are not the important things in life, these materialistic things at all. And I feel very strongly about it, actually. I'm the person who won't even have a designer handbag. I sort of go the other way because for me, simplicity is everything, and to be humble. And I've been up, I've been down, and I just know that that is not the way forward. Happiness comes really from the simplicity and the simple things in life, doing things with my children, going on a bike ride. These are things you just can't buy. And the material things can make you temporarily happy, but in the long run, I think you're selling out, really. That's how I feel. It's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
No, no, I agree. I
It's
did.
never really made me happy.
No, I totally agree. And I came to that through time though, after drama
Mm.
school and everything else like that. I look back at my peacock self, as I called him, you know what I mean? Always look to the mirrors as you're going past the shops, eight, 80s hair, strutting his stuff, dressing in black, thinking I was sexy, all that kind of all that rubbish. But I also think it's important for that state of development, that we go through. And
Yes, you have to have it. Of course, you have to have that. I think when you're young as well, it's nice, to have a bit of money and to spend it. But, we go through stages, and I think you do realize as you come through that stage that it's not the be all and end all of being famous. And in fact, projection onto you it's just not everything, you know? In fact, it can hinder your growth quite a lot, I find. Mm.
I think so. I think that we have to break away from that. I mean, I'm in scrubs most of the time at work.
Oh, right.
So I could live with some white T-shirts and a pair of chinos, and that's about it. I think when I was a kid, apparently I'd walk around in South Africa, I had little khaki shorts and I was like, playing in the mud. And apparently I used to bring home snakes all the time and animals and stuff like that. But the thing is, I remember those things. And I've often said to my kids, what did I get for you last Christmas? They cannot tell me, but
Really? Isn't that interesting?
tell me when I missed a school play or tell me when I missed a sports day. And
There you go. Gosh, that's a lesson for us all, isn't it?
100%, 100%. And I've worked like you with some pretty powerful people and some
Mm.
Hollywood stars and royalty and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And when I'm working with them, just that one-on-one and treating them, they're just people.
Yes, of course.
And that they drop it all. But I find that the glamour layers, the higher up they go, the harder it is for that glamour to drop, especially if there's a third person around because they can't do
You
it.
can't. Yes, yes, it's very difficult, isn't it? When you get to that sort of level, it is because you've got an entourage of people around you that, that they're keeping you happy. They're telling you what you want to know. In some ways, it's good to have a fall because it can really bring you back to yourself. Um,
Yeah, I agree. There's be careful of becoming heavenly, though of no earthly good, and but equally so, be careful of becoming too earthly of no heavenly good. I think it's that balance that you have to have
yeah.
between the two. So when let's go back to Dark Stars. I'm fascinated about this. So in terms of when you wrote it, was there a moment where you woke up and you thought, "There's a cathartic moment, I've just got to write this," or did you initially write it thinking, "I'm gonna write it just as a memoir to myself"?
No, I wanted it to be a memoir for the world and, to help others actually, to come through adversity and especially young girls, And I wrote it just blindly, actually. And it's quite interesting because the memories have to come back to you. So the more you write, then I would come back the next day thinking, oh, and now that's open that bit and that's open that. And, it can be never ending. And then it's just getting it all out onto the page. But now I've written this one, there is another one coming up because through my and it goes back to my intuition work and what I do with clients, how I was brought up. And it's very interesting how another lot of memories have now resurfaced. So, yeah. Um,
Do you think that's because the subconscious mind I also do hypnosis and stuff as well
yes.
other times. Do you think that's because your subconscious mind as a protective mechanism
Must do. Yes.
has kinda layered them? Because sometimes what happens, therapists will send me someone to have, say, hypnotherapy to bring something up, and then they go back to the therapist because it's
Oh,
so buried, and I would imagine with
yeah.
Dark Star, there must have been moments where you've stopped and you go, "Wow, how did that happen?" I
Yeah.
mean, especially
It's very
abuse.
triggering.
Very triggering.
Very, and then you have to, like, relive it all again, so, then that's triggering as well. So it's reliving the memories as you're writing them and, actually, yeah, and when I look back on my own story as well, I felt quite tearful in parts when I read it, and it doesn't seem, it's so long ago, and I look back and I think, "Gosh, did I really live all that?" It's just incredible, really, and, to
There must be a part of you where within that process of connecting with that young girl
mm,
and that now you would protect her with all your might, but
yes,
you weren't protected really, and I think that with that generation, my mother was the same, that naivety, but you weren't. So there must be a part of you, I know from my own therapy, is to nurture the child within you.
yes.
But also one of the things I found, and I'd love to know your opinion on this, is that I found the greatest thing I could do is forgiveness because
Absolutely. Oh, I do agree with you there.
Mm.
Yes, yeah.
I
And
think you have to.
you have to, and I do think if you can't forgive, it's very difficult to go forward, and just for your own peace of mind, I have found forgiveness fantastic, you know. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And, I'm not blaming anybody from my past, and I didn't write my book to point fingers or anything. I wrote it simply to understand my own story and, and to get it out for the world and to reclaim myself, you
I think
know.
I think it's important. Like, I remember bumping into somebody in the supermarket that I knew as a child,
Mm.
and I talked about how we were bullied basically,
Yes.
and then something fascinating. He said, "Well, actually, you bullied me."
Oh.
So there was this sort of Lord of the Flies, you know.
Yes.
I sort of I was bullied, then they was bullied, and they were bullied, and they were bullied, and
Yes.
actually, I said to him, I said, "You know what? I am so sorry. I'm absolutely sorry because if that's how I did that or made you feel, I'm real." And he goes, "Oh, it doesn't matter." I said, "No, it does matter.
Yes. Oh.
I want you to get
Mm.
this." And
You
I
got
so I
fake
find
peace.
you've got to, and I
Yeah.
think that forgiveness is truly the way because I
It
think
is,
in
absolutely.
you have to forgive others because
Yes.
equally so we have the potential to be what we're asking for forgiveness to as well, right?
Yes, and I believe if you can't, if you have that difficulty forgiving, I believe it actually gets stuck in the body, and it can cause traumas and things. So I think forgiving is about releasing, as well. So I think it's very important.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think that's where the Chinese were ahead of things, with the anger within the kidneys, gut instinct.
Yeah.
We know that the heart can actually change shape when you've had a trauma, like a grief, like a broken heart. It actually changes into the shape of a Japanese lobster pot.
Goodness.
So it can. And I also think that if you're going to fall in love and you're going to be in love, you're gonna get hurt. And this is the Unfortunately, the Snow White fairy tale doesn't
There isn't.
exist.
No.
She fell in love, but then she got betrayed by, her stepmother, and then the prince came along, and then, well, when's he gonna die or run off with another woman, or so
It's life, isn't it?
it's
And
very difficult.
it is. But you have to go through these things, and I think it does make you come out a better person, a stronger person with resilience. There you go. And yeah, it does, so it's taking chances and having the courage to
Yeah.
do those things.
No, that's true. It is courage because,
Mm.
we procrastinate so much,
I know.
and we're so afraid of and again, the Buddhist thing, the inability to accept change is the cause of all unhappiness, and change is inevitable. I mean, I remember when I got married, best piece of best piece of advice my brother-in-law ever gave me was, "Bodies will change."
Oh, yes. Well, we all trying to hang on to
I
that.
know. So he was
Oh,
basically he
God.
was saying, my wife's younger than me, so he was saying about,
Oh.
you know, "She's gonna change, you're gonna change." It's not this world we live in where you can swipe left, swipe right, order a pizza, order a date, hook up with someone. There is no, people don't seem to wanna put in the work.
No, perhaps people don't, they feel they don't need to these days.
Yeah.
There's so much choice, you see, this is the problem with it. And I think the old values have perhaps have gone, as well. It's all changing.
I
But
think so.
yeah, so life is changing as we once knew it, and, I think it's going with the flow a little bit as well, going with the change, but keeping your own mindset and your own values as much as you can.
Yeah, and not losing your identity. I think even in a
Yep.
relationship, you need to keep your identity. I think it's very, very
Very important, yeah.
important. Not get into the blame game in relationships
No.
too, because that's so easy to get in that because of you, I am this. Well, not really. You have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think also with the couples, it's very difficult because I have a client and his wife doesn't want to change, doesn't want to see him for who he is. And I think when you have one person that's growing and the other is not, again, it's very difficult, you see.
It's hard because I'm sure as a therapist, you can sit there and actually in your head, you're going, they need to go separate ways, but you can't say
No,
that.
no.
And ultimately, I suppose sometimes it's either gonna happen because if you don't change, it's inevitable and you're gonna go the same way. But I think with social media, there's a lack of communication with relationships. I mean,
Yes.
you know, go out and walk hand in hand on the beach once in a while, you know what I mean? Go and do something simple like have a picnic.
Of course, the
But
simple thing when
turn the
yes.
phone off.
Oh god, yes, I know.
Because you didn't, I mean, that's the other thing too, you didn't have that, did you? So that was all, so when you first were exposed to this world,
Yes.
I mean,
I had the first big Nokia phone. One of the
oh,
first.
really? One of those
Yes.
really
I
big
remember I
ones?
was 15, and it was a great big thing, and I
Wow.
lost it in the cab in the end. But yeah, that's the times that we've come through, I suppose, incredible times, really. Um,
Have you been
y
able to transition that onto your children? Have you been able to sort of your own healing process? Have you been able to work
well, then, not really. They're they're a complete different generation. I have 11
mm,
twins, so they're brought up with all this tech, which is just incredible,
yeah.
and, it's a different world. They probably don't understand where I've come from, and I'm just beginning to understand them. It's such a different world, and, you know, um, the work I do has helped me be a better parent, I think, for sure.
Mm.
I'm, um, I'm more easygoing, and I let things slide a little bit more,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it's only life, and, life is short, and to
And
live
you gotta fight your own battles. My wife once said when one of my daughters and I we had an argument about something, she said, "It's not your battle, just let it go.
really,
You
yes,
know, you can't fight this battle." And then she said, "What were you like at that age?" And I thought, "Yeah, yeah, I was an arrogant, whatever." So, of course, but it's admitting that. So, you were in America,
yes,
you fled, and you went to America. That
yeah.
must have been wow, I mean, America, I mean, you think about what was it at the time? I think it was the Bee Gees, it was, John Travolta, Saturday Night
I think that's
Fever.
bit after,
What was going on at the time? What time period was that?
gosh, well, America's they're all into their rock music, so it
Yeah.
was a period when London was going through their dance scene here, all
Okay,
those
so it was
really.
Pineapple and all
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, yeah. Um, Sorry, what was the question?
So basically, it must have been quite a shock that when you went there, this American culture for you.
It was. I've had a dream. I've always wanted to live in America. It was my lifelong dream growing up, and, I got there, and it was just fantastic. It opened up a whole new world for me. I wasn't known there. I changed my name, and, it was just amazing. I lived my childhood then, actually, in my 20s, that I had missed out on. And, the people, we all know Americans, how they are, play hard, work hard. They've got a great, they've got a great work ethic, actually, and they have fun. And, America was good to me, and, yeah, it was definitely a change, but I wanted to go so much. I wanted to leave my past behind. So I did effectively run there, and,
Were you able to do that? Were you able to escape the sort of British press and
I was actually, yes, and, 'cause I just, nobody knew who I was really there. So, I just started fresh. I got an agent, and I went on to Baywatch and did music videos, and yeah, it was a great time in my life, I've gotta say, yeah.
yeah, it was incredible. I mean, I loved everything about that time, I think,
Mm.
because it's I don't know, it was adventurous, exciting, and like yourself, I'm glad I've done it because now I can look back and not go, "I wonder if," or "What if?"
Yeah,
Because so many people, clients I get, they've never done anything. They
really.
they honestly haven't. They've a lot of them gone to boarding school, for example, they have private education,
Yes,
gone to boarding school, they've married somebody who's a banker or this or that, do you know what I mean? They've then gone on to the corporate route, their kids have gone to boarding school,
yes.
but it's empty,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely empty.
It's interesting, isn't it, how lives are so different, and, I think I've always been quite ambitious, as a person. I've always wanted to strive to do better, you know. So for me, and I wasn't brought up academically because, like I said, I was brought up as a ballet dancer every day
Mhm.
of my life. Instead of going to school, that's what I did. So I didn't have that background behind me. So, it was a showbiz background all
And
along.
it's an interesting one because I think as well, if you grow up in that background, there is a certain, I went out with somebody once whose daughter, uh,
Mm.
did very well in that background, but missed so much of the childhood.
Right.
I mean, so much because you have to be on call, you have to be on stage. You can't do something that's gonna make you sick or get ill, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
remember once wanting to get them to sort of I picked them up from school, this was in London, and I said, "Let's go and climb a tree," you know? And they couldn't climb a tree, but in
Yeah.
case they'd been told by their mother, "You can't
Yeah.
climb a tree because
Mm.
if you fall and break your arm," and,
Mm.
and then carrying them home after a West End show, and it was just and then I I
Yeah.
I looked at my own children, and I did the comparison. They were so robbed
Yeah.
of so much
Yes,
of
and that's what the people that the public don't see. They don't see that part, unfortunately, and that's the part that, you lose in yourself growing up, and this is actually yeah, that's it, you see. People don't see that at all, but
no.
that's reality.
And did you grieve for that? Did you ever
Of
never
course. I've never had it, so I don't really know what I missed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite
Yeah,
that's
funny now you say it, and it makes me think, "Oh, that's my life." Yeah.
no, it's quite sad in a way. It's like when you're working with a therapist, sometimes if the person doesn't feel it, but you feel it, it's because, hold on a second, I mean, I'm feeling that,
Yes.
you didn't grieve for it. You
No.
just, I mean,
No, I've
so
never had it. Nothing to grieve. Yeah.
where's that little girl that didn't
Yeah.
never
What?
go and play in mud pies,
Never, never.
and whatever. I
Yeah.
suppose looking at your mother, I mean, bless her, I can't comment for your mother, it's her story, but I could imagine if she doesn't want to look at it, because looking at it could be quite, painful for her in itself, because she would have done these things thinking, "Oh, I've done these for you," or, "Natalie, I've done this, but look what you've had," but
Yes.
what does the child want? Do you ever ask that
No,
question,
yeah. No,
you know?
absolutely. It's true, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So how long were you in the States for?
So I was there about 10 years.
Oh, so quite a while.
Quite a while, yeah. I didn't wanna come back. I mean, I just did. I just sort of ran off and, was working. I was a free spirit there. But, and then I got offered, on a casting, a job and I didn't know what it was. And it turned out to be part of the entourage for, the Sultan of Brunei. So then I went there for 3 months, which was, whew, incredible. Unbelievable.
I mean, that guy was I remember hearing about him even, you know what I mean? I think that I treated one of I can't say who, but I treated
Yeah.
definitely one of the family.
Oh, really?
Um,
Yeah.
and I just remember it was the sort of arriving with the Rolls Royce and the bodyguards,
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff, and the money was just
Thing.
it was just ridiculous. The money was just like water, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was flowing left, right, and yet I still think there's an unhappiness there.
Of course, yeah,
It's a gilded cage,
of course, yes.
you
Of
know?
course it is.
So you came back to England after that?
So, no, so then I went back to LA after and
Yeah.
pursued my dream of singing. I wrote music. I had, some singing lessons with a very famous, vocal coach, Arthur Samuel Joseph, who is just amazing, and carried on, did a lot of that, did all my singing, recording, started writing songs, and then suddenly, I think, well, I had a lot of money I came back with. A lot of money, spending a lot of money, and suddenly crash. Just everything just went kaput, and,
Yeah.
it all came on top of me very fast. I
Well,
think
that's
everything just collapsed,
yeah, but that's the breakthrough. I think that's the because while we're busy, while we're doing, we don't feel.
That's right.
And as soon as we stop, we feel. And
Yeah,
as soon as we feel, we go, "What?" We see the abuse, we see the glamour, we see the falsity of it, and then
yeah.
I suppose we have to go, "Well, who am I?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, who am I? Not not
Definitely.
not the model, not the dancer,
Yes.
but now you're a mum and
Yeah.
an author,
Yeah.
which I think is brilliant. But, I
True.
think
Yes.
because you're going to be able to help so many people.
I hope so. Yes, that's
You
my
know,
intention.
so is the book out now? It's
Yes, Dark Star is out now. Here it is. I've got a
let's
copy.
have a look.
Yeah.
Oh, fab. So where can people,
Well, it's in Waterstones, it's on Amazon, it's on all the websites, so yeah.
and how's your surname pronounced on that?
It's J actually, Natalie J.
Okay. Good. All
Yeah.
right. It's just because it's I didn't, like 'cause people go in and they put in something else like Dark Star and something comes up like Star Wars.
Well, it's actually Natalie J. Benoose,
Okay.
but, yeah, so you can search it,
Okay.
Natalie
So it's the Banus. I think Banus is the probably.
J. Yeah.
Wow. So what was your heritage then? So.
Oh, I'm actually half Indian.
Oh wow.
Yes, my dad's from Calcutta, my mother's English, and, my real name is Sika.
Wow. Isn't that fascinating that
Is
you're.
it?
Yeah, well, no, of course it is, because think of the word seeker as in a seeker.
Oh, well, yes, if you put it that way, yeah.
Looking, discovering, and what are you doing?
Now, isn't that interesting? Of course.
You're a seeker of wisdom. You're writing books. You're helping people. I mean, that's just serendipitous, maybe from that. So, what made you come back to after Brunei? What made you come back here?
Gosh, it's a bit of a so I had decided I've had enough of America. My parents were, I wanted to come back, have some family reunion, some family around me, and come back to my roots. So I came back, and I got married. I had a daughter. She's 22 now, and yeah, so another chapter began. I've lived in Spain since then for 7 years, and I came back last year.
And so, do you feel rooted now? Do you feel? Have you still got the hermit in you, or is that
I'm
quenched?
definitely a hermit, but, I definitely have expansion still within me, you know? Yes, I do like to see what's on the other side of the world quite a lot.
Yeah, you remind me of Eat, Pray, Love. You know.
Oh, really? You
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do love that movie, yeah.
It's very much like that. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes,
And it's quite interesting as well the amount of people that don't travel because of fear, and I do think traveling does broaden
Oh,
horizons.
absolutely. I always say if you have a chance to go somewhere, anywhere, just take it, because of course it does. I think also with the computer generation we're in now, and people seem to think they've been somewhere because they've seen it on the computer, you know. And it's just not the case, experiencing different cultures, different countries. Oof, you cannot buy that.
No, you can't. And I think there's certain. I was talking to some African people about. I did some work in medical aid in Gambia, and I was
Yeah.
talking about as a child myself growing up in Africa,
Mm.
um, the redness of the earth, the smell of the earth when the rain hits it.
Oh, wow.
The sound of some of the things, seeing a snake going across the road, a baboon. You can't ever get that from wildlife documentary or program because within that there's all the senses, isn't it? Smell, taste, touch,
Absolutely.
hearing.
Yes, yes, of course, yes, yeah.
So how do you find it with your kids now? Because you know what we do and what our kids do are two different things. So
Yeah, we have to
like, there's you and me talking about traveling, and my daughter, my eldest, went to Australia, and I was having kittens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't show her though. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, no, no. They all seem to want to go to Australia, don't they, these
Yeah.
days? Mm. I'm not quite sure why, and that's a place I've never visited, Australia. I've never really had any want to for some reason, but,
I think
they are
there are definitely places that draw us, aren't there? There are definitely places that we're kind of pulled to. I like, for example, America doesn't do it for me, but I'd
right.
love to go to Machu Picchu.
Yeah, would
Um,
you? Yes,
I'd
yes.
love to go to the Kite Festival in India,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I don't want to go where the tourists go. There's
Mm.
something about that that I really find difficult.
I think perhaps it's where your soul is in, on which journey you're on.
Mm,
The fact that you're drawn to those places now would sort of show an evolution, if you like, of where you
mm.
are. I'm sure your daughter wouldn't want to go there, for instance,
No,
but the fact that you want to, it shows a lot about where you are in your lifetime at the moment, what you've been through. So I think,
100%.
yeah, so where we're drawn to, the places we're drawn to, I think we should follow our soul.
I think so. I mean, I believe in reincarnation, and I often think that places we're drawn to is often maybe we've had lives there. I mean, I'm not asking anybody listening to this to believe in reincarnation. It's just it works for me. It's the only thing that logically makes any sense to me.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe in that too.
so I think that we are drawn to certain places, situation, and so one of the things I've talked a lot about my guests too when they come on, and I'd like your opinion on this, is that when we change, people find it difficult
Yeah.
because there's Natalie J. This is who you are. This is your Baywatch personality, your dancer personality. How do people take you changing?
Um, I would say people don't like it actually. I think change is not only uncomfortable for the person who's going through it, but it's uncomfortable for the other person. And I have witnessed that plenty of times. People want to keep you where you are. They don't like to see you change because that makes it brings something out in them that makes them feel insecure, perhaps that maybe they should be doing something a little different. So I think it makes other people uncomfortable. But, and that is one of the hard things about change. You have to just do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway, I think.
No, I agree.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I follow a lot of Louise Hay's work and stuff about the body keeping the score and things like that too. And I do believe that if you have the courage to change,
Yeah,
remarkable things, it's like opening a key to a door. What if, but you never, a lot of people are afraid of success in that respect because if you don't change or unwilling to change, you can never
yeah,
fail because you've never tried,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, and I think perhaps that's why a lot of people stay where they are and they don't move because they don't want to. They're so set in their way they can't. They don't want to experience anything new. And I think it's very sad actually that because it just means that you're not growing as a person. You know, and I think it makes you feel stuck.
Yeah, I do, and I think that being stuck is eventually one day you wake up and you think, well, whose life am I living? Am I living
Mm,
somebody else's life? And from
yeah,
my own experience, when I change, people can't deal with it, or they can't even deal with the fact that I have a different opinion from them.
yeah.
No, because everyone right now seems to be talking about the left and the right in this country, and nobody wants to talk about the middle ground, which is,
Absolutely.
I've
Yes.
got friends that are on the right, really on the right,
Mhm.
and they've got friends that are really on the left.
I'm gonna have to.
But there's division within society that I mean, when I grew up, if you believed in different politics, it was kind of okay, you're still friends.
Yes,
But
yes.
now it's like people are the polarities and the misinformation
Yeah.
and it's like
Which is
history.
very
We
difficult.
like
Yeah, I mean, there is no middle, that's the problem, actually, isn't it?
yeah.
There really isn't, and, that is the problem, so
And it's difficult. It's a difficult one, but I've had to learn and again, I'm sure you can resonate with this, but sometimes you have to there are people in your life you have to say goodbye to because,
yes, of course.
my wife often says when let's say, for example, I haven't had I've always been there for a friend and they're not there for me. She says they're like seasons. You've got to accept that some friendships will come. And you must have been surrounded by a lot, especially when you're younger, a lot of people you must have thought were friends. And then you suddenly discovered they weren't.
The funny thing is, I haven't had a lot of friends growing up because of the life I've lived, and, it's been quite insular, really. I had friends in Los Angeles I made, and, yeah, I find I go through so many different stages of, advancing that people do get perhaps left behind or they can't sort of communicate with you on the level you're at now. And it's not that I unconsciously do it. I think people don't want to maybe move with you, sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that
Mhm.
I've learned that, and I've had to learn to bless that soul, send them on their way, and maybe, maybe they're at a higher level than me, maybe on a lower level, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm very, guarded with my energy now more than I've ever been, I think,
that's
because,
fantastic. Yes, I am too. Mm.
and I think that's a maturity, that's a soul development, it's I'm really gonna be interested to see how your book is received, um, I mean, is there press on your book or not? Or are you
There
get
is a little bit of press, yes, here and there. Yes, yeah. Mm.
because that's gonna be the interesting thing.
Thank you. Yes.
Because I think that the thing about your story that touched me the most was just the lost childhood.
Oh, right. Yes.
I
Yes.
really was like, "Wow,"
Yes, interesting, isn't it? Um, I think also my story seems to be doing quite well in America.
Yeah,
So I think people are more open in the US as well to change and to resilience and to
so
invention, perhaps more so than in the UK. So
yeah, I think in the UK we have the tall poppy syndrome, we love the underdog, but as soon as they put their head above the parapet and start to do well,
yes,
especially if it's a class thing. I mean, I always remember again with it's like with Alan Sugar. Yep, Barrow Boy done good, EastEnder, fantastic. then become successful, and then
Yes.
this snobbery, this class system wants to come down and knock him out, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna get that, aren't you? I mean, I think
Yeah.
so the UK has a different mentality for, spirituality and, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I find that sometimes the US people, they're more advanced, they're more open to that, just in general.
I think so. I think America, if we look at the world and we look at different ages of man, and when I say man, I mean man, woman. When we look at the ages, we look at childhood, and then we
Yes.
go into teenage years. And America, to me, is the teenager.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the new world that anything's possible. You can try
Yes,
anything.
yes,
And England, to me, is it's the old man.
yeah.
And I see that I know this will sound kind of funny, but I see potholes around England. Everything's crumbling,
Everything.
like arthritis
Yes, yes.
setting in, you know?
Yeah.
But then I see, so then we go, so we got America as a teenager, the old man, but then what I see is the spirituality side. Now I see that, funny enough, is China and India.
Yes.
I see those spiritual philosophies from China and India, starting to seep into the West,
Yes.
and then everybody holding on to the past and like, look at Trump and that energy. It's holding desperately onto that old energy, which is dead.
Yeah, yeah. I think, in different parts of the world, everything's changing. And I think it's about people finding their place where they need to be at the moment, because there are so many things going on in so many different places. So,
Yeah, it's fascinating.
yeah.
So how do people get hold of you? Because however they get hold of you, it needs to be a place you actually want them to get hold of you.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm on Instagram. I'm on
Okay.
X. So, and
What do you under? What are your handles, as they say?
Natalie J,
Yeah.
just J World.
Okay. And is that on an Instagram and
Yes.
okay, now we came across each other on TikTok.
Yes, that's
So are
right.
you on there as well then,
I'm on
obviously?
TikTok.
Yep.
I'm on
Great.
X. I write as Natalie J Writes, and
Okay.
Instagram Natalie J World. So
And
Natalie
if
J.
and if clients want to get hold of you to work with you, what's the best way for that?
Yes, hello at Natalie J World.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
Mm.
It's fantastic. You don't have all these long kind of things like does what it says on the tin, right? It's so important. So we have a tradition on the show before we close. Favorite quote?
Oh gosh, well I've got many.
Give you one, but I want to know why. This is the important thing. So whatever you choose, I want
Yes.
to know why. It needs to resonate with
Okay.
you.
So my favorite quote: "We don't find ourselves, we create ourselves."
Right now, tell me what that means and why it's so important to you.
I think we're so busy looking for answers in the outside world, materialistically, and trying to find who we are from other people. But really, what the answer is, it's within us, and it's finding our passion, and it's creating ourselves from the inside out.
So well put. You've been on stage some points in your life, or you've been presenter because you're very succinct about what you say. It's actually a pleasure. Natalie J, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Zen
Thank
Footsteps.
you.
Let's
Thank
keep in
you.
contact. We're going to get this out. I'm going to tell the world about you when it goes out, and I'll send you all the bits and pieces like we said.
Thank
But thank you for being on the show.
you.
Take care. Bye now. Bye.